Have you ever felt like someone is against everything you say or do, just for the pleasure of attacking you? There's a story about a firefly being chased by a snake, hell-bent on devouring it. The firefly flew frantically, trying to escape until it found itself cornered. About to be caught, it asked the snake to answer 3 questions. The snake, knowing the firefly was trapped with no way out, agreed. The firefly asked if it was part of the snake's usual diet, to which the snake replied no. Then it asked if it had done anything wrong to the snake, and again the snake said no. Finally, the firefly wanted to know why the snake wanted to catch it. The snake replied, "Because I can't stand to see you shining. No matter what you do in life, no matter how good you are or how much you care about not harming others, understand that there will always be people against you." We've all encountered someone like that, whether it's a colleague with abusive behavior, at college, friends, or even within our own family. By adopting the practical philosophy of Stoicism, you learn to deal with these people who envy the shine of others, without resorting to conflict or argument, with intelligence and wisdom. Stoicism is seen as one of the most practical and profound schools of thought, teaching us to focus our energy and strength on things we can control, while learning to accept those that are beyond our reach. If you don't learn to stand up for yourself in life, you end up being trampled by others, including those who dislike you. So, being stoic doesn't mean being passive or silently holding grudges, but rather having a firm stance and control over what you feel, thinking before acting. Therefore, first and foremost, receive our embrace and feel at home, to learn age-old concepts that teach us to live with more wisdom and lightness. And for this video to reach you, someone else subscribed to our channel, liked and left a comment. So do the same, and thus you help us bring this mental clarity to many others. Now, how exactly can Stoicism help you overcome your challenges without conflict? In this video, we'll talk about 9 ways for you to do that. So let's get started. First, intentionally ignore. There's no show without an audience. Being ignored can be one of the worst feelings, so use it to your advantage. If possible, start intentionally ignoring those who declare themselves your enemy or don't like you. This strategy, while simple, requires a lot of self-control because consciously you choose not to pay attention to provocations, mean jokes, actions, or even the person's presence. Understand that some people's power lies exactly in causing us emotional turmoil. Some feel satisfaction in provoking. And when you start ignoring them, you automatically neutralize that power, sending a clear message that they have no influence over your emotions or decisions. Thus, their attempts to affect you are nothing but attempts. Be a person committed to your moral development and don't engage in the fight. When you start ignoring, your mind becomes free to focus on what really matters. You create mental and emotional space to cherish every moment of your life, to work on your goals and truly focus on what you can control. Instead of having your energy sucked by negative distractions or getting consumed for hours thinking about the responses you could have given, how you could retaliate or morally degrade such a person, you start using that space and time on what truly matters to you. The strength of those who provoke you or try to harm you lies precisely in the degree of influence and importance they have in your life, and only you can decide the extent to which each one occupies. You can decide not to feel harmed, and instead of yielding to provocations, choose wisdom and non-participation. This decision also protects us from the harmful effects of resentment, anger, and allows us to cultivate resilience and a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. This doesn't mean denying or pretending that conflicts don't exist, but rather that you've chosen not to be trapped in an unpleasant situation that someone else created. Following this path, we become architects of our happiness and guardians of our inner peace. Second, win using your head. Our second strategy on how to solve problems without fighting is to be smarter than the other person. This means using your reasoning, creativity, and ability to think up plans to understand the problem and find a solution without the need for verbal confrontation or direct conflict. By acting this way, you employ the stoic virtue of wisdom and manage to avoid problems before they even occur. The struggle of India to become independent from the United Kingdom is a clear example of how it's possible to win using smart strategies without physical violence. Led by Mahatma Gandhi, Indians chose to protest peacefully and not resort to violence. Gandhi organized peaceful marches, strikes, and encouraged people not to buy British products, such as salt, defying rules that only allowed buying salt from the British. These actions drew worldwide attention, weakened British control over the Indian economy, and increased political pressure for them to leave India. Finally, in 1947, India gained its independence, and Gandhi demonstrated to the world the power of non-violent resistance, using peaceful strategies to achieve political and social goals. Similarly, we can act intelligently in our conflicts and avoid unnecessary risks. Gandhi only managed to lead India's independence because he had a macro view of the entire situation. He thought about the situation as a whole. What were England's weaknesses? Which actions could pressure them to leave? How they could do it peacefully, and how they could use their weaknesses as strengths. Using your head means learning to think, looking at the whole context in a macro way. If Gandhi had fought physically, he would have highlighted the physical and military unpreparedness, and thousands would have died. But he turned his people's weaknesses into strength, and he used intelligence to win. And in the same way, you can use intelligence instead of physical force or ignorance. Winning with intelligence is not just about skill, but also understanding what drives each person to act as they do. Thinking about the consequences of what you do shows that you master the situation. By doing this, you show yourself as a true leader. Third, turn adversaries into teachers. One of the concepts of Stoic philosophy is to turn adversity into a path. That is, instead of facing your adversaries or enemies only with hostility, you start seeing them as opportunities to grow and learn. Truly as teachers on the journey of life. Because they test our limits, expose our weaknesses, reveal our vices, and show us clearly where we need to improve. In the words of Marcus Aurelius, who was the most powerful man in the world as a Roman emperor, the best revenge is not to be like the one who harms us. Instead of reacting with anger, use these challenges to strengthen your resilience, wisdom, and virtues. When you are met with rudeness and respond rudely, you also become rude. If you are disrespected and respond in kind, you also become someone who has no respect for others. Train your patience, tolerance, and above all, your calmness. This way, the obstacle becomes the path. Additionally, Marcus Aurelius also advises us, when we are tempted to criticize someone, stop and reflect on your own flaws first, and ask yourself, what flaw do I have that most resembles the one I am about to criticize? Sometimes we demand from others what we ourselves cannot do. Thinking in this way provides humility and empathy. It also helps us understand and appreciate the lessons our adversaries can teach us. Instead of nurturing negative feelings or seeking revenge against your enemies, be grateful for the growth opportunities you wouldn't have otherwise. Change the way you see these people instead of threats. See them as opportunities for personal growth and self-discovery. As Epictetus reminds us, what would Hercules be without all the monsters, battles, and challenges? He would be just an ordinary man, never to be remembered. It was his enemies that turned him into a great legend. When you do this, you completely shift the dynamics of your relationship with these people. They may continue not to like you, but you've stopped caring about it and stopped wasting your time and energy on them. Fourth, recognize that your enemy is not the cause of your suffering. The real reason for your suffering doesn't come from who you consider your adversary or enemy, or the person with whom you're having issues, but from how you judge and perceive each situation that happens in your life. It's not the actions of that person that make you angry or hurt. It's the way you see and react that determines how you feel. In reality, that person, whoever they are, helps you see what's happening within you, shows you where you think wrongly or react emotionally without necessity. Your enemy gives you the chance to see where you're placing too many expectations or holding on to things you shouldn't. Epictetus, who went from being a slave to an admired Stoic teacher, taught something simple yet powerful. It's not the things that happen around us that upset us, but the judgments we make about them. He challenges the idea that external events have the power to disturb our inner peace. Instead, it's how we interpret these events that shapes our emotional response. For Epictetus, even when something bad happens, what truly matters is how we approach it. This helps us recognize that our perceptions and interpretations play a fundamental role in our emotional states. Epictetus believed that we have the power to choose how to react to things, and that choice can make all the difference. When you realize that what bothers you is not the person or the situation itself, but what you think about it, you can change how you react and develop more emotional strength without being shaken by provocations. Moreover, this requires a profound shift in perspective, moving away from blaming the external world to taking responsibility for your interpretations and emotional responses. Instead of blaming others or harboring resentment, you can start questioning yourself in this way. Why did this offend me so much? Why did what someone said make me so angry or irritated? Why did the actions of that person hurt me in this way? Think of your enemy as a mirror reflecting parts of yourself that may need attention. Examine how you feel and why you felt that way. Changing the way you see these people helps you change how you deal with them and also helps you better understand yourself. This wisdom brings a new perspective to the situation. You begin to think differently when you recognize that your judgment is the key to your emotional state. Look at the importance of understanding this. Your judgment is the key to your emotional state. Instead of reacting automatically, you can cultivate a more balanced mind and have the ability to respond rationally and consciously. Moreover, this paradigm shift will bring more lightness and joy to your life. It can help you grow and improve as a person because you know that your strength and courage do not reside in another person, and you cease to be controlled by the actions, moods, or consideration of others, unlocking immense potential for personal growth. Fifth, choose to be great by forgiving. Forgiving is an act of greatness. It's exchanging resentments and desires for revenge, for finding peace within yourself. Forgiving someone doesn't mean you have to walk alongside the person who harmed you or invite them to stay at your house. Instead, it means choosing to free yourself from all anger, hurt, or resentment. Forgiveness is not about who wronged you. It's about not locking negative feelings inside your chest. This is not a sign of weakness, but rather of strength and nobility. By forgiving, you show that you control your emotions and create your own destiny. It's an elevation of consciousness that involves accepting the reality of what happened, regardless of whether you understand the reasons behind it. When you forgive, you break a cycle of resentment and restore balance in your emotional and mental life. When we let pride take over, we close ourselves off to the world and create barriers that hinder any kind of reconciliation. Forgiving is reacting to evil with kindness. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus summed up the meaning of forgiveness quite profoundly. It is superior to revenge because it demonstrates kindness, while revenge reflects a savage nature. This wisdom highlights how forgiveness can transform lives, as it is grounded in the compassion and understanding of an enlightened spirit. When we think of revenge, we are merely reacting, letting others control our actions, in a way, remaining a victim. But by forgiving, you free yourself and regain power over yourself. Sixth, transform the relationship with your enemies. This means acting with kindness, understanding, and goodness to provoke a positive change both in the environment and in people's behavior. This new way of facing problems encourages us to promote goodness even towards those who try to harm us. It's not easy to demonstrate this greatness and act this way, so allow me to share this story with you. There was a very wealthy man who decided to gift a poor man on his birthday, and ironically had a tray prepared full of garbage and dirt. But to truly humiliate that man, the wealthy man presented the gift in the presence of all friends and subordinates. The birthday person, in his naivety, received the gift with great joy and thanked the man kindly, asking him to wait a few minutes as he wanted to return the kindness. Thus the poor man disposed of all the trash, washed and disinfected the tray, filled it with beautiful flowers, and returned it to the wealthy man with a card saying, "We give what we have the best of." This story shows that we cannot expect people to give what they do not have. Each of us has a baggage of feelings and attitudes. Some can only offer a tray full of garbage, while others choose flowers. Choosing love instead of anger not only benefits the other person, but also helps us grow, expanding our vision and moral strength. In the story, the wealthy man tried to spread hate and negativity, but his actions did not shake the poor man, who responded with love and kindness. Similarly, we too can transcend our primal instincts and choose to act with love and kindness. By doing so, you rise above petty quarrels and disputes and show that you are not just part of the problem, but also an essential part of the solution. Seventh, face it head-on. The seventh strategy we can use to solve problems without fighting is to confront the problem directly. I like a quote from Dr. Matt Murdock that says, "An enemy not confronted tends to grow stronger." Confronting someone means having a direct and objective conversation. You can start by saying, "I've noticed that you've been doing this and that, and I don't think it's right. I haven't done anything to you, and I want you to stop referring to me in this way." That's confronting. It's not about physical violence, but about showing that you are aware and do not tolerate certain behaviors. Of course, each situation is unique. If it's your boss, for example, the approach needs to be different. Confronting is not synonymous with fighting, but rather with asserting yourself. If you don't show firmness, others may walk all over you. This doesn't mean you need to pick fights. When you show that you won't accept everything silently, most of the time, the person gets the message and the situation doesn't escalate into a fight. If you accept once, people will do it 2, 3 times, and so on. That's why it's important to be ready to assert yourself when necessary. Eighth, focus on yourself. When we dwell on thoughts of revenge or continually revisit past grievances, we inadvertently divert our attention from what truly matters, our own growth and well-being. Consider this. Every moment spent fixating on past hurts or imagining alternate outcomes is a moment squandered, a moment that could have been invested in self-improvement. Sometimes we cling to the hope that those who wronged us will eventually regret their actions and apologize. But in reality, this hope often stems from a desire for external validation, a longing to be acknowledged by those who have hurt us. However, true worth and validation must originate from within ourselves. No external validation can replace the self-recognition and self-worth we cultivate within. Prioritizing self-growth means shouldering that responsibility for our own fulfillment. Furthermore, It's essential to release the grip of concern over others' opinions and approval, especially from those who harbor ill will towards us. Stoic philosophy teaches us that we possess the power to choose our reactions to any given situation, empowering us to make deliberate choices aligned with our values. By embracing these teachings, we embark on a profound journey of self-discovery. Along this path, we confront ignorance, embrace forgiveness, and nurture love, dismantling the barriers that obstruct our pursuit of virtue, wisdom, and ultimately, happiness. Ninth, the control is yours. You are the only one who has control over your emotions. When someone manages to affect you, it's because you allowed it to happen. No one has the power to destroy your peace, disturb your sleep, ruin your day, or diminish your smile. This control is all yours. No one can harm you unless you allow it, because the control of your emotions is in your hands. It's difficult to have to live with someone who wants to harm us for no reason, but understand that these people, like the snake at the beginning of the video, cannot stand to see someone shining with their own light. What truly shows who you are is what you feel and how you react to it. So it doesn't matter if you have many enemies. What really matters is how many people you don't consider enemies and don't feel angry towards. What's important isn't what others think of you, but rather what you think of yourself. It doesn't matter how many try to hurt you. What counts is that you don't try to hurt anyone. If your life isn't going well, it's not because of others, but because of you. What complicates your life isn't how much others dislike you, but if you hold grudges against them. It's not others' bad wishes that matter, but how you feel and act towards them. You have the power to change things in your life, including how affected you are by your enemies. As Marcus Aurelius advises us in Meditations, choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been. And if you've made it this far, comment, "I will be wiser," followed by today's date. This way you confirm your willingness to change for the better. Friends, join us on our journey of self-discovery and growth through Stoicism. Let us know in the comments how Stoicism has been helping in your life. Subscribe now to learn how to find serenity and inner strength amidst life's challenges.